What's up, guys? Ian here, normally coach of your Ladder Lantern, but here I am B, coach of your Stow-On-Side Stufful, bringing you guys the final part of the regular season to our ABDL Season 2 run. As you notice in the last episode, spoiler alert, if you have not watched that, please go watch that. I'll give you 2 seconds to go watch that. Pause this one and go watch it. 1, 2, we clinched playoffs, and I am searching for the top 2 seed. I believe all I need, I have a 2-game lead over 3rd place right now. Being in first. So at this point, all I need should be 2 more wins at the very least out of my last 2 games to clinch the top 2 seed, or the third slash fourth, because they both have 6 wins, to lose at least 1 match. And me win 1 match, and then I would clinch a top 2 seed as well, which is important. Again, a bye to semifinals, saving 1 game and being that 1 step closer to finals is really the main goal here. In this episode, we're going to take on the last 3 teams in the regular season, or I should say the last 2 teams and our rematch. So in Week 10, we are going to take on the Galar Gallade. Week 11, we will take on the Hullbury Huntail. And in Week 12, we will have a rematch against Marnie and the Yelling Yamper from Week 2. First up is Leon and the Galar Gallade. Like I mentioned in the last video, I was currently in California, actually, when this game was played. But I did build the team prior to leaving, and so Shade played this one on my behalf. One of the benefits of having an alt, and it being an alt league, is that if one of the coaches cannot play that week, the owner can step in and play for them. And I was very prepared with a team already built for him to be ready to play this game with my absence. So, Leon's team consisted of Tapu Koko, Tangrowth, Crocodile, Vaporeon, Mesprit, Murkrow, Mega Lucario, Dragapult, Roly-Coly, Arcanine, and Muck. Roly-Coly pretty useless, Muck pretty useless. Those are the only 2 things I wasn't really expecting. I kind of just thought everything would come. Mega Lucario was really the big threat on this team. Tapu Koko is kind of and Lando is kind of designed to handle that, I think. So, yeah, first up on my squad is the Lando, which is actually a really solid win condition for me, depending on the Galarian Wheezing ability. If it's a bad ability, then this Lando set can potentially just win. The main thing stopping this Lando set is, like, Feather Dance Murkrow, which is Prankster Feather Dance lowers attack, and goes first all the time. So I'm running Rock Polish, Swords Dance, Earthquake, and Stone Edge. So I've run this against somebody. I ran it against the team with Mega Altaria in the last episode. What was that? Week 8? No, Week 7? Week 7 against Milo and the Turffield Torterra. So it's pretty much the same set as I ran against Milo against Leon here, with Yachi Berry. Enough speed, not to speed tie the Murkrow, but enough speed to outspeed the Mesprit. There was actually a lot of good ground answers on this team, so I was surprised that I thought of this set when Stone Edge doesn't really deal with all of the ground answers on this team, but alas, that's what I had to work with. So again, I'm outspeeding the Mesprit, Jolly with a lot of attack, a little bit of HP there. Vikavolt is a leftover set with Agility, Bug Buzz, Thunderbolt, and Roost. It's another win condition for me. I'm running a Timid Vikavolt with enough speed to outrun Tapu Koko at +2. So after an Agility, I'll outspeed that. I could not outspeed Dragapult, but Dragapult didn't even come, so irrelevant, I guess, in the grand scheme of things. That's the idea behind the Vikavolt, at least. Pretty offensive squad. You know, I figured I could at least dent the Vikavolt over and over again with Bug Buzz and Thunderbolt. You know, Vikavolt's a little bit stronger than Koko is, and so I figured I could be able to deal with that, or get like a Spidef drop with Bug Buzz or something, and then be able to deal with it from there. But really, it's a breaker for the Vaporeon. That's the important part. Articuno, relatively specially defensive, but I also have some physical defense investment. Roost, Freeze Dry, Toxic, and Hurricane. Hurricane to hit something. I don't know what something is. What is Hurricane there for? Not entirely sure. I don't think it really mattered. I don't know why I have Hurricane. I'm really not sure. Roost and Toxic are fairly self-explanatory. Heavy-duty boots, of course, because it's the only item that Articuno should really be running besides like Scarf. Yeah. Freeze Dry is pretty self-explanatory too. This team is really weak to Freeze Dry. Oh, I know what Hurricane's for now. It's for the Mega Lucario, so that I didn't have to Freeze Dry that. But Mega Lucario is pretty frail, so it really shouldn't be switching into Articuno anyways. Yveltal is an expert build set with a little bit of attack investment, even though I'm timid. Sucker Punch, Oblivion Wing, Roost, and Heat Wave. Oblivion Wing plus Heatwave demolishes a lot of this team, and then I've got Sucker Punch there just to pick something off later. I think it's mainly there for the Dragapult, which again did not come. It's kind of strange seeing Oblivion Wing plus Heatwave and no Dark Pulse against this team, but with Mega Lucario and Tapu Koko, but Mega Lucario and Crocodile, which also didn't come. But wait, why is there a Garchomp on my screen? Maybe he dropped Dragapult for Garchomp or something? I'm not sure why there's a Garchomp. I may have missed a transaction, and I definitely did not prep for Garchomp at all. What? Let me just double check this. I've been talking about Dragapult this entire time. When did he drop Garchomp? Yeah, February 3rd, he dropped Koko for Garchomp. So I prepped for Koko, but I didn't have to because it was actually Garchomp. And Dragapult was dropped for Galarian Weezing, and Crocodile was dropped for Raikou. So I actually have no idea. I prepped for the entirely wrong team, actually. Because I prepped for Koko, Crocodile, and Dragapult, and none of those were on this team. But it's okay, because the thing, the Raikou didn't come anyways. So that's really besides the point. I have no idea what the fuck I was doing. February 3rd. Yeah, they made transactions about a month before my game was with them. So that is a huge yikes, and I definitely should have caught that. So terrible on me, but I'm glad I'm catching it now after the season is done. Anyways, that's what I think Yveltal's for. Heatran is Chople with Flamethrower, Rocks, Toxic, and Earth Power. Chople for Lucario, I guess. I'm kind of physically defensive. Idea, I guess, is that I could take a close combat and Flamethrower it back and kill it. Toxic for the Vaporeon, Earth Power for Arcanine in this case, which I'm pretty sure was still on the team. And Rocks are just really good. And then Mienshao is Scarfed with U-Turn, Knockoff, Drain Punch, and Poison Jab. Poison Jab was there for the Koko, but I guess is now there for Galarian Weezing, I guess. Knockoff was supposed to be there for the Dragapult and like Mesprit, but neither came. So I'm not really sure. Again, I didn't play this game, so we're just kind of run through it. I've watched it once, way back when, to find out what the result was, and I guess we'll just go with it. Mienshao is designed to outspeed the Arcanine. My Vikavolt spread is completely worthless when there's no Koko. Wow, I'm actually so tilted post-season about how I screwed this one up. Okay, anyways, he's just going to lead with the Weezing, and I'm going to lead with Articuno. My pressure goes off first. This is not me, but my pressure goes off first, so I probably should have just stayed in because pressure went off before Misty Surge. It's good to know that it is Misty Surge. Preventing Toxic against the Vaporeon is fine, but Misty Surge tells me, or in this case Shade, that my Lando can actually abuse that Weezing quite a bit, actually. The Vaporeon going for Toxic was kind of strange, but I was in with what? I was in with Heatran, and it went for Toxic. I guess predicting the Articuno. That's a really strange like Toxic play when his own Misty Surge was up, but that's okay. She's just gonna roost on the Weezing here, and then pivot into Heatran, which is a really easy Weezing check. Although the Heatran is designed to take on the Lucario, so Weezing is gonna get rid of the Rocks, and Earth Power comes out for some reason. I think Flamethrower was just a better play there, but the Garchomp's gonna get a little bit punished by the Lando switching in on the Earthquake. And Lando's going to have a chance to go for Earthquake against Vaporeon. Shows to not be physically defensive, and there's no leftovers. So it's definitely especially defensive, and getting a Sword Stance off against the Vaporeon is fine. This Tangrowth is probably the physically defensive one to handle the Lando here. And Shade's going to go for the Rock Polish. Pretty much going for game against this Tangrowth with the Rock Polish plus Sword Stance. And then Swords Dancing again on a Protect. So I'm not sure if that's just because the Tangrowth couldn't kill. But now this is a +4 Lando. The Tangrowth goes for another Leech Seed, which is kind of a choke. I guess it just doesn't have a move to hit the Lando with. And Stone Edge is going to be able to pick that off. This is now a +2 speed Lando and +4 attack. It doesn't need to set up anymore. And so the Murkrow going for Taunt is irrelevant. It's going to just drop to the Stone Edge. The Lucario, there's no way Priority picks this off from this range. Bull Punch does 31 and it drops. Vaporeon should also die. Garchomp, there's no way this lives. And Weezing has shown to be Misty Surge and not Levitate. So I believe Lando just picks this game off. Shade made a really good play by Sword Dancing again on the Tangrowth. I think Leon played this very poorly, especially being Misty Surge Weezing and not having the ground immunity being Murkrow was kind of sus. But I guess with Tangrowth, They felt that it was more viable. The Tangrowth should have had a move to hit this Lando, though. Otherwise, it just ends up like this. So, despite all of that, Shade played really well with the team that I built. And despite me prepping for the completely wrong team, essentially, like almost all of the wrong threats, Shade played this really well and picked up a 6-0 win. And that, I believe, actually clinched me for a top 2 seed at the time. Where is it? Week 10 standings, yeah. Third place was 7-3 plus 14, and it was not possible for me with 2 weeks left to drop enough differential for the third seed to even finish 9-3, and me also be 9-3, and him have more differential than me. It was also peers who had beaten. Plus 14 to plus 39, there's a 25 differential gap there, which is actually just one above what it would have to be, because there could be 24 differential made up in that scenario. However, 24 differential would tie, and then in that case, I would have been I would have had head to head. So it's not really possible. I would have had to lose 12 differential, which would have put me at 27, and he would, or let's say I was 1 differential lower, 26, and then 12 differential would have put him at 9-3 plus 26 as well at the end of the season. That's assuming I lost both games 6-0 and he won both games 6-0, which is not the case. So I did clinch a top 2 seed with the 6-0 win from Shade. A 5-0 win also would have clinched a top 2 seed here as well. And yeah, so now I could sort of play the last 2 weeks a little bit more lax, knowing that I have a bye into semifinals already. I didn't really care about being first or second seed as long as I didn't end up with a bad matchup in semis. And so I'm gonna play sort of playing for that, but Sonya is right behind me at 9-1 plus 25. Just my differential is ridiculous at this point. The next matchup is against, where's my logos? Is against Nessa and the Hulbury Huntail here in week 11. Taking on Nessa. Nessa's team consisted of, excuse my voice by the way, I cranked out like 4 of these episodes today. Zapdos, Melodic, Espeon, Darmanitan, Roserade, Steelix, Mega Absol, Galarian Corsola, Double Deoxys Attack, and Minior. Minior is kind of a threat. Deoxys Attack, gigantic problem. I overprepped for things like the Mega Absol, the Darmanitan in this matchup, and not as much for things like the Zapdos. So the team that I am bringing against Nessa is, here it is, Lumberry, Landorus, Therian with Smackdown, Earthquake, Swords Dance, and Explosion. I felt like this was actually a really effective way of dealing with this team. Swords Dancing on a lot of stuff. Lumberry for Scald Burn from Melodic or a Burn from Galarian Corsola. Earthquake demolish everything, and then a rock type move to knock things down rather than running gravity and being susceptible to that myself. I just wanted to run Smackdown to get a Zapdos on the ground or get a Minior on the ground kind of thing, and then Earthquake them to death because they're both weak to ground once they are, their secondary typings make them weak to ground once they're knocked down. And then Explosion just in case I really needed a nuke against, I think Melodic in particular. Or if I wanted to get momentum into something else, then Explosion is not a terrible option. I was outspeeding the Roserade with the speed investment. Yveltal is Scarfed to outrun the Deoxys Attack. With Dark Pulse, U-Turn, Oblivion Wing, and Knockoff. Knockoff there for the Galarian Corsola. A little bit of attack investment for the knockoff damage, but not a ton. Even though I'm timid, and I'm timid outrunning Darmanitan, so I should outspeed Scarf Darmanitan. Articuno is Boots, not really that specially defensive, actually very speedy, running a lot of speed investment to outrun Melodic. I was very worried about competitive Melodic against my Intimidate Landorus and Sticky Web Vikable, so I wanted to make sure that I could outspeed that, especially if it was competitive for my Lando, then that would be really bad. Freeze Dry, Roost, Ice Beam, and Heal Bell. Heal Bell to get rid of the same status that Lando's Lumberry would be helping with. But if Lando's going to set up on stuff, then it's probably going to get status twice, and I was worried about Yveltal getting status and whatnot, so I wanted to run the Heal Bell there. Again, excuse me, almost no bulk. It's like max HP, tons of speed, and a little bit of special attack investment, which is not really how my Articuno had been played all season at all. Boltund here with leftovers. Bulk up, Thunderfang, Firefang, and Crunch. Thunderfang demolishes a lot of this team. Firefang was able to deal with the Steelix, and then Crunch was able to deal with the Galarian Corsola. I actually think the set was pretty solid in hindsight. It's a leftover set. It's running enough speed for base 120 Minior in core form, and then max attack, tiny little bit of HP there. I actually think it's a pretty solid win condition. Honestly, the Boltund. Steelix is a big problem for this team, so if I can deal with Steelix by like Lando or Yveltal or Heatran or something like that, then Boltund I thought could have a solid opening here. Unless the Deoxys attack broke through me somehow, then that would be a big problem. So that's what Heatran is there for. Heatran is there as a Deoxys answer, fully specially defensive with Rocks, Toxic, Flamethrower, and Flash Cannon. I'm just kind of praying that it doesn't have superpower to hit my Heatran with, because that would be really bad, but it might have the move slot for it. It needs like Ice Beam, and then it can opt into Psycho Boost if it really wants a way to break through things. It can opt into Psycho Boost, although it doesn't need it, and it probably wants Extreme Speed. Because it normally has Extreme Speed for things like Comfy. Extreme Speed would be useful. Although, actually, Comfy's moves go before Extreme Speed, so I'm not sure why Extreme Speed would necessarily be that helpful, except against a situation where it's against Scarf Yveltal in this case, or Scarf Lando, something that would outspeed it naturally. It's going to run a lot of speed to outspeed Mega Beedrill. So thinking of that, Toxic there on my Heatran for the Zapdos Melodic. Not a lot that can get rid of status. Toxic also there for the Galarian Corsola. I think it's like Heal Bell Espeon is like the only like Aromatherapy Roserade, I guess, which, you know, Roserade is not that great in a meta without hidden power. Yeah, and then Flash Cannon is for something. There's no Fairy on this team, so I'm not sure what Flash Cannon is for. I think it's for the Minior. It's definitely for the Minior. The last but not least is Dracovish. Really weird Dracovish set, opting completely out of any sort of Strongjaw Fishless Ren set. This is a Water Absorb set for the Melodic with Sub, Dragon Pulse, Whirlpool, and Surf. Kind of strange that I'm not running any speed on this, and in hindsight I probably should have been. Fully physically defensive to take on something. Minior, I think, or Darmanitan. That's what it is. This is my Darmanitan answer, is this weird Water Absorb Dracovish with Sub, Pulse, Whirlpool, and Surf, trapping the Melodic and getting it. I figured Whirlpool was actually okay anyways, because at the very least it lets me get momentum. So worst case scenario, I trap something and then I can switch out on it, but that's kind of how I wanted to play this game. So this is also a very potential playoff matchup, so I wasn't building my absolute best for this one. I'm going to get the lead wrong as Steelix matches up against the Heatran. I thought it would be Zapdos, and then Steelix is going to be able to get up rocks. My Earthquake shows against Melodic, and I'm going to SD on this thing as it recovers. I should be able to two-shot this now after a Swords Dance. Doing 54%, yeah. So the haze does come out, but with the burn damage, this is now in range, or potentially in range of an Earthquake. Steelix comes out, and then there's going to be some doubling shenanigans into the Zapdos, but I don't really care. Again, I'm running Smackdown. It's going to go into the Steelix to scout the rock move, but Smackdown is perfectly fine here, and I'm just going to be able to pick off the Steelix now. Something was going to have to die eventually. Deoxys is going to come in. This is a pretty free Ice Beam for him. So my Articuno is going to come in on the Ice Beam. I'm actually in range. Well, okay. The crit really sucked there, actually. I was already in range with Psycho Boost anyways. Protect, Scout, to scout my... Scout if I was Scarf, but now that I show Roost, it's kind of weird Protect play there, actually. Probably should have just Psycho Boosted anyways. I showed Boots, so that was a strange play. But seeing Protect, I know this probably doesn't have room for either Psycho Boost or Superpower or Extreme Speed. One of those three is missing from this set, and I'm not sure which. Any one of them missing is good, though. If it's Superpower, that means my Heatran can switch in. If it's Psycho Boost, that means my Articuno actually walled that anyways. And if it's Extreme Speed, that means my Scarfy Veltal will be able to pick it off later. Corsola is going to come in on my Articuno here on a Freeze Dry, and I believe I just go for a Toxic. I do not. I go into Heatran to make sure that my Articuno is as healthy as possible. Getting a Flash Fire boost from the Will-O-Wisp is just a bonus, in all honesty. And then Melodic comes in on a Flamethrower. It's unfortunately going to outspeed my Heatran because I'm not running any speed investments, and just be able to recover off the damage. But Flash Fire boosted Flamethrower is just really not doing enough here. I think I go for the Rocks at some point on this recover, maybe. Yeah, because Rocks are pretty important to chip down the Zapdos, in all honesty, as well as the Minior. Put the Minior in a range where it can't sub for free. I switch in the Dracovish on the Melodic, show off the Water Absorb, but I'm slower than the Melodic because I'm not running any speed. And then I decided to sub on the Toxic. So really poor play with my Dracovish. I'm in a Whirlpool here, I think, and then switch out afterwards. Let's get a little bit of chip on the Milo, a little bit of passive damage on top of the burn with the Whirlpool, um, and then it's gonna haze for some reason. I don't know why. Dragon Pulse is doing absolutely nothing. I'm just sacking my Djokovic for no reason here. I'm not sure what's going through my head. Um, I know this Melodic's definitely going to recover this turn, so I'm just going to go into my Articuno, threaten this out in theory with a Freeze Dry, bring in the Glaring Corsola, which I don't. It's just a Freeze Dry, and then it's going to be able to Toxic me, and things are going very poorly. Things are going very poorly right now. But luckily I have Heal Ball in the Articuno. That's what it's there for, is for Toxic Melodic. And yeah, now she realizes that I cannot deal with that. And unfortunately I get Curse Bodied on the Freeze Dry. And I get to go into Yveltal on the Corsola. It goes for the Nightshade. I don't have any recovery on this Yveltal, so that really sucks. It shows me Boots Zapdos, and it's fully specially defensive Boots Zapdos, so Yveltal's not even denting that thing at all with Dark Pulse. My real play was to go for Dark Pulse flinches, to be honest, on the Roost. Melodic's going to come in on the Bolton now. So I make a double predicting the Melodic to come in on Bolton. This is kind of a ballsy play, staying in on a Bolton with Melodic. I know that he lives the hit, but like, just a really ballsy play. Instead of just going into Corsola, I'm actually going to crit the Thunderfang and then get burned anyways afterwards. Melodic's going to kill itself with Flame Orb. Like, I don't know. Staying with Melodic on Bolton is so sus to me. And then Deoxys is just going to pick it off with an Ice Beam anyways. But like, why even blow your bulky water against a Bolton? Turns out Articuno with no investment is not in a good place against Psycho Boost. Bring in the Yveltal, and then we'll finally see the full set of this, which is Extreme Speed and no Superpower. So Heatran actually did wall this, and unfortunately, the Heatran is not going to be able to do anything against it afterwards. But I'll be able to Toxic something. I'll Toxic the Zapdos. Minior probably doesn't want to come in. I'm going to get Paralyzed, and then fully Paralyzed on the Toxic click. I did click Toxic there. Heatran is not in a good position right now. As I'm going to get the Toxic off in the Zapdos. Playing for Yveltal WinCon later was not possible with it dead, but hopefully Lando can sort of do something to the Zapdos. You know, Ice Beam Deoxys is really scary, but bringing in Deoxys here makes absolutely no sense when it just dies to any hit the Lando can do. So at the very least, I get a kill, except in this case where I go for the Smackdown and it U-turns out. The Minior is going to come in, which I'm not sure about that one. I'm going to SD on a Shell Smash, knowing that I live a hit from the Minior in core form, and then hopefully at +2 being able to kill it with a Smackdown, but it's going to sub over and over again and put itself in Meteor form, and put itself into core form, which now can kill the Landorus because there was no Intimidate, and actually will just win the game with the combination of Acrobatics plus Earthquake. So not a great game, in all honesty. The play with Melodic was really strange in hindsight. It didn't seem that weird to me in the middle of the game, but staying with Melodic against a Boltund is just so strange. I really do not get that play at all when you have a Corsola that can burn or Strength Sap or something. Like, just very, very odd. Very odd. And sacking the Steelix with Bolton still alive was also really strange as well. I'm not sure about that one. I think in the end, Corsola probably should have been the sack, especially seeing Yveltal, but in the end, the Minior got forced in with this weird sub-smash set. I don't think sub-smash is good, by the way, on Minior. Had I just clicked Smackdown, I wouldn't have even had to Swords Dance. I probably should have just Smackdowned in the first place. I just didn't want this to be in core form right away. That's kind of why I was playing around it not having sub. But sub-smash against this team is just... like, all it's doing is avoiding Sucker Punch from Yveltal, which I wasn't even running on this set. The rest of my team, like... what else do I have? Vikavolt, Vikavolt can deal with that. Comfy, strange, very strange. Anyways, that's a loss to Nessa, and so I lost my place in first with this loss to Nessa, and Sonia was going to overtake me. But then in week 12, we were taking on a rematch against Marnie and the Yelling Yapper. I actually just brought the same team, like literally the exact same team. I don't think I changed a single aspect of it. All of the speed creeping, the same. Pretty sure this is actually identical. It is fully identical. It's still Colberberry, Delmise, same spreads, same Banded Lando, same Life Orb, Sticky Web, Vikavolt, same Shukaberry, Roar, Explosion, Flash Cannon, Heatran, same Scarfy Veltal. It's the same Felstinger Beedrill. So completely identical. I did not re-prep because Marnie was also a potential playoff opponent. But Marnie brought a very different team against me. So if you remember in week 2, back in part 1, Marnie brought Gothitelle, Rabombi, Mega Blastoise, Snom, Berserker, and Kyurem White. So now there is no Gothitelle, Snom, or Berserker. And so the only things remaining here are the Rabombi, Mega Blastoise, and Kyurem White, opting into bringing 2 more Dark types to make this less weak to Yveltal with the Incineroar and the Volibee, as well as Rotom-Mow, which I'm not sure why Rotom-Mow of all things against Heatran, Mega Beedrill, and Vikavolt. Rotom-Mow felt really strange to me on paper, but that's okay. Not much really you can do about that. Kyurem White, I'm hoping, is probably not Shell Bell this time. It's probably going to be an offensive item. Mega Blastoise probably is going to smarten up and not click Dark Pulse against my Dhelmise after I showed Colbur Berry. And if Marnie's smart at all, they'll have done their research and know that this is the same 6 that I brought from the first time, and there's a high likelihood that it's just identical sets. Again, I had already locked a top 2 seed. This game meant absolutely nothing to me, and it only meant seeding for Marnie, so I wasn't entirely sure what to do there. But let's just get on with it here. Again, same team that I'm bringing. I'm just going to lead with Beedrill against the Incineroar here. And I'm going to U-turn out on the Incineroar. Scout a little bit of damage. It's not that defensive based on that after the Intimidate. And it's going to Power Trip my Lando, which is kind of strange. I am Banded Lando, so I'm just going to go for the U-turn. And Volibee shows to be pretty bulky based on that damage. But Volibee is a free Vikavolt for me every single time, as it U-turns into Rotom-Mow on my Volt Switch. Volt Switch was pretty free. Again, there's no Diggersby here, so no ground type is good. This is actually Scarf Rotom-Mow, and despite the burn, Poison Jab is still going to be able to pick that off. And the Blastoise is going to come in on my burned Beedrill. I'm going to U-turn out on this because I have no reason not to into my Dhelmise. It's obviously clicking Shell Smash. I can't do anything about that, but hopefully my Dhelmise can live a hit, and I cannot, because it doesn't have Dark Pulse this time. It's got Ice Beam. Yveltal is still Scarf, though, and because it's Mega Blastoise, it doesn't get White Herb access, so I'm going to be able to Dark Pulse that to death. Rabombi is going to come in knowing that I'm Scarf Blastoise and set up webs. Again, I don't think that's that big of an issue. Poison Jab's still going to break this Rabombi even though I am burned. Feels odd to not just go into Volibee on any of those, but I guess the Volibee is there for the Lando anyways. I was kind of just sacking Beedrill at this point. Burned Beedrill does absolutely nothing for me, so any damage against the Kyurem is good damage. It shows Fusion Flare, and then no... It's not going to stay in and Earth Power me, so I wasn't entirely sure about that. I'm going to be able to Intimidate the Incineroar here, as it is also a Will-O-Wisp variant, which I thought was very strange. I'm going to knock off here, predicting the Volibee, get rid of the Weakness Policy on the Flame Charge. I didn't really predict Weakness Policy after seeing Power Trip, but Power Trip with Weakness Policy and Will-O-Wisp is kind of strange. The Bulk Up's not really going to matter. Eventually I'll just kill this thing with a knockoff. I'm just trying to sack my Lando here so that I can get in absolutely anything. It finally outspeeds me after 2 Flame Charges, so I can get my Yveltal. There we go. And now my Yveltal can go for an Oblivion Wing, pick this off. Oblivion Wing is going to be able to deal with this Kyurem White for the most part. I'm actually just going to be able to live the Kyurem White Freeze Dry. It opts to not go for Ice Beam and go for Freeze Dry instead, and Oblivion Wing 2-shots it, so really no complaints there. Volibee can't really touch me, and again, Vikavolt's kind of a free switch, so I just get to go into my Vikavolt on the Volibee. Given that it's roosting, it doesn't really matter, and it does outspeed me because I'm not running any speed, and Life Orb Thunderbolt just obliterates that thing to death. So, same team that I brought, same outcome, realistically, although I think I 4-0'd the first time, and this time I 3-0'd. We're going to end the season 10-2 plus 30-something. Something ridiculous. Where is it? 10-2 plus 38, just behind Sonia at 11-1 plus 34, locked into the second seed. In third place was Piers at 9-3 plus 23. Fourth place was Rose at 7-5 plus 9. Fifth place was Marnie, who we just defeated at 6-6 plus 3, and sixth place was Nessa at 6-6 plus 2. So now that we're in second place, we actually play the winner of the third and sixth place match, because odds are it would be the third place winner. And so we would play the higher seed, and then Sonia plays the winner of the fourth versus fifth place match. So luckily I can't match up with Marnie until finals again, although I would really prefer to not have to re-prep for Marnie, because that would be quite annoying. Yeah, that's the end of the regular season. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the regular season. It was kind of a blast playing everyone. and it was a blast getting the semifinals, and so hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and catch me next time for the last part where we play in playoffs. We move on to the semifinals and play our mystery opponent. It is going to be the winner of either Piers or Nessa. You should note that we lost to Nessa in this episode, and in the last episode we 6-0'd Piers, so I bet you can guess who we would want to play against again, and that is, you're damn right, it is Piers. I would much rather play Piers than Nessa in this one, and so we'll see if we get our wish or not in the final part of playoffs of ABDL Season 2.